It's about to get effing cool.
Welcome, everybody. We are live. It's Friday. Hope everybody's having a good day. And I am joined by Chris and Eric, as always, here with Effing Cool. And we just thought we had some time today, and we thought it'd be fun to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yep, there it is. There it is right there. Yep. So
put in the Wilhelm scream.
Right. I wish I had the soundboard. I need to make a soundboard. That's a good app that I should design for these streams.
Reason to get a stream deck. Here we go.
There we go. Yeah. So anyway, but how are you guys doing today, Chris?
It's definitely been a day. I'm looking forward to talking Star Wars for a little bit.
Yeah, let's get our mind off of some other things going on and talk about Star Wars. Eric, how about you?
Yeah, feel pretty much the same way. I'm ready to talk some Star Wars and get my mind off work and a few other things. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw the chat up here since we've got some chatters. And, we'll say hello to Random 90s fan Steve. Thanks for joining us. And Vince, Fajita Phantom, thank you for joining us as well. And, yeah, sound off in the chat. Let us know how you liked the show, different things as we're talking here. Any comments you want to make or whatnot, we'll read them. But yeah, how's the baby doing, Eric? I wanted to ask you that before we.
Doing fine. We were a little concerned about the birth weight, but we went on our last checkup earlier this week. He's back to birth weight. Everything's good. And we just got his major blood test that they took at the hospital, which took 2 weeks. No problems whatsoever, nothing detected there. So I'm as happy as can be with how things are going with my little son.
When do the driving lessons start?
Next week.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to see how that goes.
Yeah, I was walking with my kids yesterday, and my oldest son asked me, he's like, Daddy, when will I be able to get a car and drive? I was like, well, I'll get you a car in about 10 years because he's 6 right now. I'm like, they try to grow up too quickly. But, anyway, that's great, Eric. I'm glad things are going well. I know you're probably not getting much sleep right now, but we appreciate you joining us for sure. So
yeah.
We'll sleep for you, Woody. We'll sleep for you.
I appreciate it.
Oh, man.
Let that hate consume you.
Right.
Hey, Star Wars.
You just tell your kid, I am what you made me.
I am your father.
Right.
Ryan.
Oh, man. Good times. But, yeah, once again, appreciate everybody joining us. Some of the comments, Steve says, the show is amazing. We got Fierce Wildflower, Michelle in the chat. Thanks for joining us. And, so let's just first start, I think, the basic question of, just an overall, what did you think of the show generalization? I'll start with you, Eric.
I actually really loved it. I loved it from start to finish. I thought the pacing was maybe a lot better than Boba Fett series. So the pacing was great. I loved how pretty much every episode mirrored one part of the two trilogies. I don't know if people caught that, but thematically, each episode mirrored one of the prequel or the original trilogy, which I thought was a great touch. Overall, I really enjoyed it, and especially the last two episodes just knocked it out of the park. I thought the casting was great. Overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Chris.
Overall, I really liked it. I will say I was a little bit harder for me to really get invested into it early on. When it comes to Star Wars, especially these beloved characters, right? And Obi-Wan is a beloved character, both Sir Ian McGinnis as well as Ewan McGregor. You have to be careful, right? Because making a story just to make a story to put them out there so they have something to do to get them back in the role can be dangerous, because especially in this series, you know how it ends, right? I mean, we know what happens because we've seen what happens.
Right.
So you have a very small sandbox to play in. I did find myself a little bit bored, maybe through like episode 2, maybe even into 3 a little bit, trying to figure out like, okay, what's the end game to this story? Like, where does this take me to where I want to go? And I'm very happy to say they did pull. In my opinion, they pulled it off, and I found myself gushing about a series we didn't need, but at the same time, I'm glad we got.
Yeah. So for me, I echo some of those comments, but the first 2 episodes were probably the hardest for me because it was like, okay, where are we going with this? What are we doing? And then when they got off Tatooine and were in the where were they after Tatooine, where he was chasing Leia around the
They
city?
went to that. I forget the names.
It's
Dayu.
Dayu. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they also had that stop over at that other, or is that still Dayu?
I'm not sure.
Like
When
that
Leia
farm planet?
No, when Leia gets taken to the planet with the water, and they're in that fortress, and they got to rescue Leia out of the fortress.
Oh yeah.
Mapuzo.
Mapuzo. Gotcha.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ramping up, I was like, they released those first 2 episodes together, so it was basically like the length of a shorter movie. You know, watching those first 2 episodes, and you're like, okay. And I knew what they were gonna do. They were gonna tease Darth Vader at the very end of those 2 episodes, and in the, you know, like I just felt that coming. But episode 3, I did not expect at all. That whole sequence where, you know, Vader's hunting Obi-Wan, and he builds the fire with the, you know, the Force, and then drags Obi-Wan into the fire and burns him. And, you know, that first initial kind of like Obi-Wan doesn't have his like swag,
Mojo back.
Jedi power, and he's
Doesn't
like
have
just
his
struggling
poo-poo together.
Right, exactly. He's just been kind of like torturing himself in the wilderness for the last 10 years from the events of what happened, you know, kind of, it feels like just a sad old man, like they kept talking about in the show. But yeah, I definitely thought once it hit episode 3, like it was like, okay, wow, okay, this is not what I thought this was going to be, and it was very surprising in that manner. I thought young Leia was just perfect casting. I mean, that little girl. If they did anything in this show, I mean,
I don't know
seriously.
I don't know where they found her, but holy cow, she was amazing.
Right. Yeah.
We can have a Leia series throughout the years until she's just about Princess Leia's age now. Like we can
Seriously.
we can just make a Leia Organa like ongoing Disney Plus series. In fact, they can make it a musical like a Hannah Montana. I'd probably be down for that.
I'd watch. Yeah.
I'd watch it. Yeah.
Fierce Wildflower says young Leia Organa, hard eyes. Yeah, for sure. Random 90s fan. This show is how Obi-Wan got his groovy back for sure. He also says, I read that her Lola droid was named after a bird Carrie Fisher had as a kid. Oh, interesting. That's cool.
That's a nice tidbit. Yeah.
I want to say too, like I was really shocked when this thing started that we followed Leia. I thought for sure it was going to be focused on Luke. And so to take that right turn right in the beginning, and nope, it's completely focused on Leia. I thought that was actually that kept my interest, because I'm like, okay, this show is not going where I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, and I feel that too. The show totally, like you said, went in a different direction. It gave us some of these characters, and it's like, you know, the prequels gave us young Anakin, and when that first happened, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want that. But I think the way she played Leia was so perfect, it made it. And it really bridged the gap between, you know, how does young Leia know to call Obi-Wan, you know, like in A New Hope and stuff like that. And so it really bridged that gap, and they built this like undeniable relationship. And you know, I thought Ewan McGregor was really good with her. So yeah.
Oh, just all the scenes that they had together where, you know, he was reminiscing about Padme, and, you know, you put into context everything that you've seen in, like, the Clone Wars animated series and all of that, because in the prequels, you know, they didn't get enough of that relationship scene, but, you know, things like the Clone Wars, which is considered, like, part of the canon, is still valid. And
Right.
that was another thing. Like, you know, a lot of people were saying after the Inquisitor got stabbed in the second episode, they're like, well, that's not canon. How did this, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out, you know, there was that big reveal. And, you know, I think we need to give the creators a little bit of a, you know, benefit of a doubt, because
Yeah.
just because that lore is already laid out.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of know, you know, nobody's gonna die in this show. You know, because you know the lore of what's ahead of it. So it's like, I think they did a good job keeping you guessing on what was going to happen. And I think for more than anything, I don't think I would have liked this series if it wasn't Darth Vader heavy personally. Like maybe if they did like another season of this show without him now, but I feel like they really they had so many unsolved answers they needed to dive into with that. And I was really glad that they were able to get Hayden Christensen back. And James Earl Jones, of course, obviously doing the Darth Vader voice and all that, because like I feel like Anakin and Vader in the series have just been two completely different people, and especially at the end, like I feel like it bridged that gap for them together to become kind of one. And like especially like when his helmet gets broken and he's like screaming, and just the anger that he has towards Obi-Wan in the situation, and he's not mad at Obi-Wan for becoming the dark side. He's mad at Obi-Wan for destroying him, you know, in his body and all that kind of stuff. So
I kind of feel like one of the reasons I think it was disconnecting at first, and why like after that first, you know, double episode movie intro, so to speak, I really feel like they didn't do a good job of selling what is essentially the PTSD that Obi-Wan's supposed to be going through.
Right.
I didn't get that feeling that he was torn up inside because he just killed his Padawan, which is his best friend, and that all his friends are dead and all the younglings are dead. I never really got a sense of that's weighing on him and he feels responsible because it was his Padawan that didn't. I never got that feeling from it. Really until the end, when he has that moment with Anakin, and he tears up as, you know, at the end of their fight, or he says he's sorry and stuff like that. Like, to me, I would have really, 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 really enjoyed more push on. Like, I would love to see Obi-Wan having nightmares about, you know, maybe what happened at the academy while he was gone.
Well,
you know,
we saw that a little bit in the first episode, because we did get him like waking up from dreams and kind of that. But I wish they carried that out a little bit.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say they showed him waking up from the dream, and he was like, "Oh, okay, back to my weird job," you know, and he's just silent and quiet. And then when he does meet a Jedi, and they're like, "Obi-Wan, holy crap, it's you! Like, we gotta do something. We gotta fight together and stop them." You know, he's just like, no. But I never got that sense of like, hey, I kind of feel bad because it's all kind of my fault in a way. Sorry, you know. I did think they did a very good job selling his shock and freak out when he found out that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do feel that was done very well in Episode 3, which carried over into Episode 4. But I like I said, I just, you know, the whole like when he's struggling to use the Force to save Leia from the, you know, when she's kidnapped the first time. You know, it's like I got more of a sense of like, what is it because he hasn't used it in 10 years? Not so much because he's got a mental block because he's all like, hey, this is all my fault. Sorry, I ruined the universe.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too, because I had kind of forgot that he didn't realize, or that he thought Anakin was dead. Like I kind of forgot that looking back. I think that's a really good point you make there, Chris, because like, yeah, they could have done a better job of I mean, you could tell he was depressed and things like that, and just his life had gone nowhere. And
I thought he was depressed because Owen wouldn't let him see Luke.
Yeah,
that's what I walked away with, because that's the only thing that I could see. Like,
gotcha.
Okay, that triggered him to make him sad. You know, like, oh, okay, yeah, he's ready. He must be trained.
Right.
You know, and Owen's like, no, get lost. And like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, okay, like that's his life. He's hiding. I know he's hiding.
Yeah.
But I never got that sense that he was like, oh man, sorry, I ended the universe for you guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
true.
God.
Do you think that's because they jumped ahead 10 years? Do you think like he had kind of been able to deal with some of that a little bit in that 10-year time period?
I think And this is speculation because obviously,
Right. Obviously, yeah.
when it comes to Star Wars, I am a fan. I don't even follow it enough to know like any inside information on it. But my assumption would be the focus was always going to be on Obi-Wan and Vader, not so. And you know you have the third sister on the side as well, and we could talk about her later. But
Yeah.
I really feel like it was really supposed to focus on those two and their relationship. Um, so spending too much time explaining why he quote unquote sucks at being a Jedi now versus what's about to happen
True.
to finish it up. I can understand like maybe that was a creative decision. Like, hey, we need to spend more time focusing on Leia and all that stuff, and not worrying so much about why Obi-Wan sucks as a Jedi right now, and when he's going to get it all back anyways, and we're going to use Vader as the spark that kind of ignites that fire and that eventually blossoms into something amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, I can see your point there. I think they just did a really good job with following those two episodes up with a really, really strong episode because I didn't expect to see them show down at all until the very end. I thought it was going to be like some of the other shows they do. They tease stuff, ramp up stuff, tease stuff, ramp up stuff. But like for them to like face off in like, you know, Obi-Wan not really having his Vader like showing that anger he has.
Scene where he's like peeking through like the window or whatever, and Vader's walking down that long path, just killing people left and right as he's walking, and just like that, almost like they went into like a horror genre when they did the filming of it. And I will say their entire battle or their scenes together in episode 3, plus the episode 5 flashback where they bring in Hayden Christensen back as Anakin, and they have that whole back and forth throughout the whole episode. I feel like both of those combined made me enjoy that episode 6 battle 1,000 times more than if they would have just done that without having them, especially in the episode 3. Like if Obi-Wan doesn't get his ass kicked and look like and piss off the entire internet because it's like, well, what the hell, Obi-Wan's supposed to be the greatest Jedi ever. If that little charade battle doesn't happen, episode 6 is a snooze fest.
Absolutely.
Emotionally, like I got teared up in that episode 6 finale. I really did.
Yeah. Random 90s fan, he says, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but that conversation between the two at the end where it was cutting the dialogue between Anakin and Vader.
I have a comment about that. Good. If I don't know if you guys noticed, you probably did. You're both very intelligent people. While Anakin is addressing Obi-Wan as Anakin, like you get the glow of the blue lightsaber. There's a little bit of blue and a little bit of red kind of flickering back and forth. And as he gets angry and starts saying like, "No, I'm Darth Vader," then it just becomes all red. Like I love the nuance, like little thing they added to that, because I'm like, oh, you felt it. Like you visually saw it and you felt it. Like it was great.
Yeah.
And that's why I like that, you know, Deborah Chow directed all 6 episodes, because there wasn't a break between like the visual storytelling. It was all like her putting her stamp on it, and that final fight was just unbelievable.
Did you guys notice too? Because I thought it made it that much more eventful for me, and I appreciated it that much more. For 5 episodes, I'm like, why the hell is there no Star Wars music in this movie or in this show? Like, there's not a single Star Wars music in any single episode until the last episode, and the first time you hear it is the Imperial March.
Yep. Dun dun.
That's the first time you hear it, and then after that, it's the rest of it.
You hear like hints of it, like
barely. You might get a slight hint, but it was all new, kind of like almost over orchestrated. Like I kind of felt like it was too loud in some scenes and too busy, especially like when the Imperial base capture, trying to get Leia out. It just felt very like loud and you know. But like I said, it just not having it that entire series, and then at the very end, as it's finally ending, and you're finishing all those knots that tie everything to episode 4, to get nothing but Star Wars music, or especially like new takes on it a little bit too, because it wasn't the original score; it was someone else's performance. The original score, like I'm a big music guy, so that was huge for me. Like that really to me like put a stamp of approval on the whole thing.
Yeah, it wasn't 20 minutes into A New Hope when they play the Jedi theme, like in a really loud moment there where Luke's looking
start
out
the show off with
yeah.
Like if they would have started that, or if they did that, the stupid crawl. I say stupid because we've seen it like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
One thing started the crawl, I would have been mad.
one thing I appreciate about this series is they didn't waste any of the time, on nuances to the series. They really, like you said, they were building out that storytelling, very well. It was like a 6-part movie in my opinion, like how it all came together and stuff. And what like that kind of leads me to some of the stuff going on outside of Vader and Obi-Wan, especially with Reva. Why do you think that was such a big plot point in the movie or in the show? I mean,
The Reva in general.
yeah,
I think it all ties to Obi-Wan. I know some people were like, "Oh man, they're making this show about the third sister." No, it was never about her.
No.
It's about her character and how her character ties back to
Obi-Wan's mistake.
Well, and also to Darth Vader.
Right.
Because now you have a character that's connected to both of them. And that character is the one that actually brings them together and creates the connection, so to speak. So if you don't have that third sister, none of this happens, because the only reason she's after Obi-Wan is to get to Darth Vader. And to me, I felt that was awesome, because I understand where people get upset when you get a show titled Obi-Wan, but then you spend the entire show focusing on a new character instead that we don't know anything about because they're not in any of the movies. I can understand people's frustrations, but I mean, the way they ended this series, that finale, you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot create a better finale than what we got in episode 6. Like, it literally, episode 6 is a love letter to every single Star Wars fan, because not only did it make the series have a connection to episode 4, A New Hope, it didn't trample on, destroy, change, or retcon anything.
No.
It all made it all connect together. And then, yes, the third sister, we don't know what happens to her. They leave that door open, and I appreciate that, because we know there's more to these characters than just Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, the Emperor, and Obi-Wan. We know there's more than 7 characters in this damn universe.
Right, yeah.
And they're going to meet other characters along the way. And it wasn't just Lando and Calrissian that they met. They met a lot of other people. So I'd love to, if we get more stories like this, I'd love to see more characters like that, where they're introduced, they play a role. Yeah. They don't die. They don't have to die to be a narrative plot point. They can exist and continue to exist outside, and maybe we can follow them later on somewhere in some other form of media down the road.
Yeah. Steve says, I think Obi-Wan said it well. She was wanting to get back at Darth Vader. She could have gone down the path of Vader if she killed Luke, but I guess it's implied she goes back to the light side. Yeah. That's an interesting tidbit, because Disney apparently is planning some kind of a show for her, so like some type of a spinoff. So this won't be the last time we see her, apparently, is what it's been reported.
What I liked about what this series did was it brought the Inquisitors into live action, because we've seen them in other media like Rebels, and very prominently in the game Jedi Fallen Order, which I loved. And if people haven't played that, you need to play that, because that story is amazing. And if we get like a Cal Kestis like series which brings in the third sister, I could see them tying it that way.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
because I would love for that character to get more spotlight in live action. And the actor who voiced Cal Kestis was also doing he played the Joker in the the Gotham series, so it's that character. But but that actor, like, he also did the mocap and all the stuff for that game, and he's expressed interest to do a live action version of that character. And for a game that introduced the Inquisitors in such a huge way, I would love a spin-off where maybe the third sister and him either team up or have to face off or something.
Yeah. No, I would love to see that. We got some comments coming in. The Iron Ranger brings out a good point. He says, not sure from watching it, did she know who exactly Luke was when she was going to kill him? Did she figure out that was Darth Vader's son, or was she just trying to kill someone close to Obi-Wan? The way it came off to me was that she had figured out that Luke was Vader's
Vader's
child.
At least that the child was important enough,
right?
That they were hiding the child, and you only hide. I have to be really careful how I say this. In the Star Wars universe, you only hide children for specific reasons. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting because it kind of went without saying, and you could have kind of interpreted it different ways. And I know me and my wife had talked about that too, but I had kind of come to the conclusion that she understood either that it was his like force or whatever, a force feeling or something, that she understood that Luke was Vader's child. But I don't know. I could be wrong on that
especially
too.
with Bail Organa's like pieced, like kind of scratched out communication that she
Yeah.
was witnessing. It's like you could tell she was piecing together. Like, why are two kids so like important right now?
Right.
let's give her props though for surviving 2 lightsabers through the chest over
Yeah.
the course of 15 years, 10 years.
Well,
Seriously.
well, that's what the Inquisitor was talking about, like, and that's how he survived. It's like that rage, the dark side has that ability where rage can actually heal you. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's all really interesting to think about. That just added in the 6th episode, that kind of almost, I wish we had a little more time to build on that episode because like there was so much that went on in the flashbacks between the final fight and her hunting Luke and that whole battle within that. It was cool that they got to elaborate on the aunt and uncle a little bit more in their protection of Luke in that. Darth Vader. Yeah, but Iron Ranger said she made a comment to Owen, "You protect him as if he is your own," and then Owen replied, "He is my own, like he is my child," because
Owen was kind of a jerk, and then I warmed up to him a little bit.
yeah,
What about Aunt Beru though? I mean, come on.
yeah.
I'm just so excited they got those original actors back. Like that was a big surprise for me because I'm like, where have they been for like the last 20 years?
Probably a big surprise to them too. Like you want,
Yeah.
you what? You want me to come back?
Sure,
Oh.
yeah, because they could have
Twist my
easily
arm.
recasted those characters, and I mean, the hardcore Star Wars fans would be like, "What the heck?" But like, because I don't even think they had any lines in Revenge of the Sith.
Their screen time was as bodies on the floor.
Right. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think like would you guys have enjoyed this show if it was just Obi-Wan doing his thing, or did you appreciate all of the lore that came into it? Like if they were building a whole new story, like Obi-Wan and his trial, Vader not included, that whole thing, would you guys have really enjoyed this show? Because I don't think I would have.
No.
Not at all. I don't want to see Obi-Wan on Tatooine story. I feel
Right.
like I've seen so much of Tatooine the past couple years that I'm glad that the series took the chance to like hop around and like go to different planets. And
So tired of desert planets in Star Wars.
yeah,
No, I think I agree with Eric 100% on this. Like if this would have been Obi-Wan and Luke hang out and he's fighting sand monsters and Boba Fett makes a gazillionth appearance, like I probably would have been like
Yeah.
because
Same.
this works as a part 2 ending to episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, because you get that closure now between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader or Obi-Wan and Anakin, I should say, and that's what I wanted to see, and now I've seen it, and it was done tastefully in a way that I like. And I mean, let's just be real for a second. Like, I'm glad we finally get to see how Darth Vader gets that scar on the top of his head.
Yeah.
Like little things you miss out, but then also
True.
absolutely loved the cracked helmet and the voice modulator failing. And so at times you'd hear Hayden Christensen talk, but then the one time he says Obi-Wan, it's James Earl Jones' voice goes through on the mod. Like, oh, it's like
it was goosebumps.
Chills,
That
yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, I had it. We watched it upstairs here, and I have like the Dolby Atmos, and just the sound of that crackling, just on a big screen with like large sound coming at you was just. I mean, it was like you said. I got chills during that scene. I was like, holy moly! Like they pulled that off so well. If they did anything in that series, it was that scene. And like I said, it was humanizing Darth Vader a little bit. It was bringing Anakin and Darth Vader into one, with keeping their like almost like split personalities. So it was just kind of it was crazy. Iron Ranger says Joel Edgerton has had a plethora of roles, had some good lines for the 19 minutes he was in Attack of the Clones. I almost teared up at that scene. Both actors killed it. Yeah, in that the choreographed lightsaber fight in that scene was so good. The other ones were good. When Vader was fighting Reva, that was kind of lackluster to me, just because you could tell he was so much more powerful than she was.
I love that he was toying with her though. Like, to me, I'm like, dude, that's Darth Vader. And he's just like, nope, screw you.
Yep, he's just pushing her away. Like, yep, come on.
I'm happy. You know? I was scared when they started fighting in Episode 6 because I'm like, if we get more of these long distance shots of them on a lightsaber battle, I'm gonna be pissed because that's cheaping out and not having a choreographed fight.
Right. Yeah.
So I like, because they did that in the third episode where they were mostly distance off in the distance fighting. I'm like, come on, like stop. Like no one wants to see. Oh yeah, we can tell it's them fighting. That's like the shot from Attack of the Clones. They're like way off, and all the Jedi and the Colosseum fighting. It felt like that on Episode 3, and I was like, that's stupid. Like I hate that. So to have them actually like up close and to see Obi-Wan busting out those moves, like when he does pass the lightsaber behind the back, like I was like, oh.
And he does like his attack pose from Attack of the Clones. Like, so good.
Yeah, when he busts out of the rocks and then he just like he's like, you would be wise to stay where you were or whatever, and then all the rocks come up and he just starts pounding Vader with the rocks. It was just like,
I loved that. I loved that because it gave justification to Rey as she finally becomes all that Force powerful again, or for the first time really at the end of Last Jedi, when she raises all those rocks up. Same idea, right? It unlocks and she's able to do all this stuff. So I love that apparently when you unlock your full Force potential, you go Super Saiyan like in Dragon Ball Z, and you transform all the rocks go up in the sky. So I'm glad that there's some symbionts back and forth there between Dragon Ball and Star Wars, two franchises that are undeniably connected.
Right. Steve says in that moment he was the high ground. Yeah, absolutely. He didn't have the high ground.
He had a lot of high ground.
Yeah, he picked up that high ground and threw it in Vader's face. No, yeah, but I don't know what else we could say more about that scene other than it was perfect. And
you watch any episode, watch Episode 6.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
you won't appreciate it as much unless you watch the whole thing. But
watch the first 2. Watch 3, skip the other 2, watch 6. No, I'm just kidding. Watch the whole thing, but like...
I mean, I benefited a lot on this series because me and my wife watched the prequels right before this came out.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit more invested in the emotional attachment because it's like, I just saw them like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever.
True, yeah.
So that was really fun. And I mean, I think for me what made it was Hayden Christensen coming back too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean...
Because I was afraid, like, is that his role as a flashback and then standing off in the desert in one scene, in a vision, and then, so I'm glad they were able to get him, in the suit at the very end, and you can tell it's him by his voice, the way he talks, like it's just. Like, can we talk about the one last thing though? One last thing.
Go ahead.
Liam freaking Neeson.
Yeah. So awesome cameos at the end. We had the Emperor first, Vader talking to the Emperor. That was a cool cameo, and then Liam Neeson coming back as Qui-Gon Jinn. That was such a good. Iron Ranger says yes. Yeah. No, I think we were all like, I don't know. I was screaming at that point. I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. And I was not spoiled on that at all, so I didn't see that he appeared like on Twitter or whatever. I watched that and I was just
like I was waiting for it. Like I wasn't spoiled or anything, but I was hoping they would do it.
That's the rule of film of making films, right? Like if you tease something, like they teased Obi-Wan in the very first beginning of the entire show, and they're like, "Master, why haven't you come to me yet?" Because at the end of Episode 3, Yoda's like, "Oh, Qui-Gon, I have talked to. Seek him out, you shall." And that's a verbatim quote. Just like that. So no, I was like,
perfect delivery.
You knew it was coming. I just didn't know, and I had read the spoilers, so I went to Making Star Wars or whatever and checked the spoilers. Which, by the way, they had it right through about the 4th episode, and then after that, whoever got that information, like Disney, was like, "Yeah, no, let's change everything." But even they didn't know if Liam Neeson was coming back in person or if he was just going to do a voice. But the idea was that he would be there in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
The leak said he was there and helps Obi-Wan fight Vader. Like he appears or whatever and kind of talks him through it, gives him that motivation. I'm actually happy that it happened. I'm actually happy that it happened the way it did. Where at the very end, it's like Vader the whole time. Like, let's go. We got to go.
And I think it was really good because, like, if they do want to do another season of Obi-Wan where it's him in going and he sees and Liam Neeson comes back as Qui-Gon Jinn and the Force Ghost coming in and out, I think they laid the groundwork for something like that. But also, if they never do that, I'm okay with it as well. You know, personally, I don't know.
I kind of don't want
Yeah.
another season. I think this encapsulated what it needed to encapsulate. If there's other stories out there, and I think Obi-Wan showed up a couple times in Rebels as a older version. Like, let's just leave those stories be. Like, this was a perfect from start to finish. Like, this was it.
I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, and I love Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. I kind of agree with Eric. I think maybe on the live action point, maybe this is it. I think if there's more stories to tell, like they did with Clone Wars, like animated series, go for it. Because the joy of Star Wars is I've never watched Rebels. I never watched Clone Wars. I still understood everything that happened.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch the cartoons to appreciate what you get in the live action. And for anyone who doesn't watch the cartoons, they didn't miss out on anything major. I mean, yeah, you appreciate it a little bit more, but you don't have to watch the cartoons to understand what's happening to appreciate it. So at the same time, it's kind of like, well, man, Ewan McGregor's only 51 and Hayden Christensen's only in his 40s or whatever. Like, you could still do something. But you know what I would love to see? I would love to see, like, if you're going to do something, you got the technology to de-age people. We saw that with Mark Hamill and stuff. Give us another, if you're going to do another series, maybe give us an Anakin series and go back in time and show us stuff that happened in between those years where episode 2 and 3 happened, or episode 1 and 2.
Maybe make some of those Clone Wars episodes, like maybe make a mini story arc.
Give us Darth Maul. Like, we know what happens to him in Rebels.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
But everyone wants that in live action, so maybe give us that in live action. You don't have to tell a brand new story that's never been told. You can go ahead and play with the toys that you already have in your box, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that would be the only way I want back. There's no reason. Like, that is how you end.
They set that up in Solo. Like, that was the big end credit tease, and they never paid that off.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
So as far as I'm concerned, like, yes, there should be no more stories between the end of Obi-Wan and episode 4 starring any of the main cast whatsoever.
Right.
Aside from possibly Leia.
Okay.
Because she doesn't do anything that we know of until, and if she does, and I don't know, forgive me. But as far as I know, as a fan who watches all the Star Wars movies, not the cartoons, Matt, you could get some teen Leia episodes of something out there, where she meets new characters or whatever. Because as far as I know, she doesn't really enter into anything until she solicits getting the Death Star plans.
Yeah. It seems like the chat's agreeing with us, Steve and Iron Ranger. Steve says, I would love another season, but I don't think we need it. It's a good ending. We could have Obi-Wan appear in other stories. That's definitely something that could
I'm all
be
for
cool.
I'm all for Ewan McGregor popping up again as Obi-Wan, especially since he loved coming back for this role in the interviews I've seen. Like, I'd love for him to maybe come as a guest once in a while, but I don't need another series focusing on him. I feel like they closed that chapter of his life and that resolution just fine.
Yeah.
What about a story? This is completely throwing out there, but if you want to have some fun, what about a story where, because these characters can commune with each other, right? We see that happen with Rey and with Ben, right? Ben Skywalker, Kylo Ren. We see them commune like telepathically or whatever, where they kind of project with each other. What's to say we can't have a whole series where it's just Obi-Wan projecting and Anakin projecting, and they have themselves a giant ass conversation, or even lightsaber battles in projection form where they don't even talk to each other. They're just. I'm trying to think of, like, as a fan, it's like, because that's my big thing in it. It's. I love these characters. I love the actors that portray them, and I feel like we should. Like, there's a part of it that says we should get as much out of them in these roles as we can, because there's going to come a time when we can't anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because I suffer that when I think of, like, obviously I'm a big Transformers nerd, right? So those voice actors, they're almost all dead at this point. There's only a few left. And you can never create a new series to touch on the old stuff ever again, because those original voices are gone, and you waited too long, right? They're in their 70s and 80s now, like they're dropping like flies. You still have the prequel cast for the most part is still intact. Like you can still go back and tell more stories with that cast. Don't wait until they're all in their 60s and 70s to decide to go ahead and do that. Like if you
Right.
want to do it, do it. You don't have to change the story. You can give us new stories that work on a streaming platform. If you want to do new movies, cool. Make a whole new cast of characters and go out there and have joy. But if you want to do the old stuff with old characters, just tell new stories set before big events, right? Because we want to. That's the joy of Obi-Wan, is you know what happens at the end. There's no surprises.
Chris Long's joining the chat. Welcome. He says, I just want to show that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn talking for hours, conversations with Qui-Gon.
I want Qui-Gon.
I want that podcast, actually.
I want Qui-Gon to pop up in Darth Vader's, like, you know, like I want him to be like Darth Vader hanging out in his castle or whatever, and Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon pops up and he's like, you know, he gives the speech from Taken.
Right.
I will find you.
I will find you.
No, but that's an interesting point you bring out there about how, you know, we're not going to have these actors forever, with, you know, how you're relating it to Transformers and stuff, and especially James Earl Jones, because he's getting older. And I honestly, I would love to. I don't necessarily want more of Obi-Wan, even though him popping up in different things would be cool. But I want kind of a Vader series like you were talking about, where he's having flashbacks as Anakin to, like, in him dealing with all this anger that he has. Because in A New Hope, you watch those first few scenes, obviously they didn't have any of this planned out, where he's just like doing work because it's the Empire. He's not even thinking about Obi-Wan anymore. So let's get Vader to that point.
I would love, and maybe this is an idea that no one will ever run with, but I personally would love, imagine if they got Natalie Portman back, and you have a whole series of Darth Vader, Anakin, having to put to rest the fact that she didn't die. He didn't kill her. She died giving birth to the kids, and therefore that's how he discovers, well, I mean, ish, but I just, part of me is just like, I would love to see him, because, you know, as far as he knows, he thinks, you know, oh, it seems in your anger you killed her. No, you know.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and let's show that, you know what, he discovers that she died somehow other way. He didn't kill her.
Yeah.
That allows him, but then to show he's evil, he has to kill the memory. So he sees visions of her. She's there with him, you know. And he has to fight that in his head while doing whatever, and he's got to go fight. You know, maybe they find another Jedi somewhere. Like, they're killing Jedis all the time.
Yeah.
So they're about to do something. So, and he's searching for Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan's still out there. You know, so you can do that, and then you can have Obi-Wan, you know, kind of make an appearance, just a cameo, like huh?
Yeah,
You know?
right. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. But you know, I don't even think they would have to, because, you know, Vader's always kind of, so Vader has never really 100% been on the same page with the Emperor. Like, he's like, yeah, I serve you, but he's always kind of had his hands in other things that don't pertain to the overall what the Emperor's trying to do. So, like, if they could explain him working through that anger and then realizing that he didn't kill Padme, and it was actually, he's been lied to, you know, and, like, he's still going to be evil and doing his thing, but, like, it softens him a little bit more towards how he ends up just becoming a good guy at the end of Return of the Jedi again, you know, like some of those things that kind of draw him away from the Empire a little bit, but he's still heavily entrenched into it. I don't know.
Even if you tell a story between episode 5 and 6,
yeah,
you know, because
work, yeah.
there's a time gap, you know,
Right.
so you can tell a story with Darth Vader and still have Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor show up as a Force ghost.
True. Yeah.
Still do that. So there's still possibilities, but you just have to be incredibly careful, because
you don't want to retcon
that original trilogy is considered like the Bible. You have to be very careful not to change things or move things. And Disney, as a company, seems to love to do that a lot of times. It's just kind of like, well, we're just going to make a little tweak right here, or we're just going to forget that part happened. They couldn't do that and get away with it without people getting pissed. But I really think there's so much potential and so many more stories you can tell using these actors before they're 2000. There is 3 years between 4 and 5. See, exactly. A lot happens in 3 years, man. You can have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Hello. But
yeah. Iron Ranger says they did that in the comic. Palpatine messed him up still. LOL. There's a comic between the different movies that showed him doing stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So bring some of that to live action. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't read those comics, and
Right.
I don't think a lot of people do that are, you know.
Yeah, I'd probably say
General
70%.
audience.
Yeah, 70% of the audience probably aren't reading those.
I'm going to say 85% of the audience
Okay,
has no
yeah.
idea what the comics do, only because Star Wars is such a huge fandom. Still, 15% is still like, I
Right.
don't know, 30, 40,000 people. But this movie makes billions and billions of dollars. It's a global phenomenon that, at the end of the day, 20, 30,000 people is nothing.
Yeah, and Christensen even said in his press tour, he was like, I would love to do a Vader series, like something that explore that, because he even said, he's like, I feel like there's so much more to that character we could explore, you know.
So glad he's back. I'm so glad he's back.
He aged
Yeah,
like
me too.
fine wine. It's less like,
You'd get him all dressed up and stuff, and they knew it too. They purposely didn't de-age him in that flashback scene. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
was like, no,
I
show the
don't know.
wrinkles.
I thought
Show the
there was
wrinkles.
a little de-aging. Was I?
Maybe he's got like a thing going on. I think like on his side of his face or something like that. That he might have changed up a bit.
Yeah.
Like a wrinkle or something. But I mean, they left the brow up top, the wrinkles up there. They
Yeah.
left those for sure. And I was
Long-
like,
Long's Toy says the comics currently are taking place between 5 and 6. They are good. Oh, interesting.
everything Chris Long doesn't buy.
Check out Chris Long's Toys. His
Long's
YouTube.
Toys on YouTube.
Yeah.
Toy reviews.
Yeah. No, yeah, the series, like you were all saying, I think it was a good bridge. If we never see Obi-Wan again, 40-year-old Padawan. Yeah, right. Yeah, if we never see Obi-Wan again, it's a perfect bridge the gap. When he comes to Luke and he says, hello there, it was just like so perfect.
Oh my
Like,
god.
and the way he delivered that line, it's 2 words, but like it was just
Hello there.
dead on, like exactly what we
It was like that. It's like that meme in Family Guy where he's like, "Oh, he said the thing. He said the
Yeah,
thing."
exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, twice. He also did that, like, in the battle with Darth Vader. He was like, "Oh, then I will do what I must." You're like, "Oh," I was really hoping Anakin would be like, "You can try."
Yeah.
No.
We got a few more minutes here, but I just wanted to talk about that scene where he goes back to see Leia on Alderaan, or he lands and he looks at her and he goes, I lied to you when I said I didn't know your parents, and you get these qualities from your mom. And then he goes on, because he separated Darth and Anakin, and he says, and you get these qualities from your dad. Like, this man isn't your father, but you got these good qualities from him. And I thought that was so, like,
And
that brought tears to my eyes in that scene too.
And I loved when that conversation between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, where he even said, "I've killed Anakin."
Right.
Like, just to get that line to everything to connect to Episode 4.
Yeah.
If there's nothing ever done with these characters ever again, I think that was the perfect
We got it there.
bridge.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we got it there. They got it there to that bridge to A New Hope. Yeah, it was perfect. And, like, it helped make sense why, well, I mean, it's not that it didn't make sense because it was the first movie 40 years ago, 50 years ago, but, like, why, Obi-Wan is just so nonchalant in the first movie, it makes more, because, like, he's worked through all these issues that he had in the past, so. But, is there any other parts of the show that you kind of wanted to talk about, or anything else you guys? I think we covered pretty good. We've spoiled a lot of the show, obviously.
I liked the idea of the path, that kind of that underground railroad for Jedi, because there's potential stories there and how that may have blossomed into an early part of the rebellion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
definitely
what
like to see. Early rebellion stuff would be great to see too.
Yeah. So,
and I think we're getting that with the Cassian Andor series.
Yeah. I think that might even tie some of this together too.
I would love that,
because I was thinking about that. Was that the original rebellion? Like, that group of people, was that where the rebellion originated?
Right.
And so, like, what if instead of Vader saying focus all sights on Obi-Wan and go to him, what if he said, no, let's destroy that ship? Like, let's follow them in the Star Cruiser and destroy them. obviously Obi-Wan knew that Vader would follow him, so that's why he went that direction. But like, what if he had destroyed that ship? Will we have a rebellion? Like, is that the start of something entirely new? I don't know.
Chris Long in the chat says, "Be sure to back that failing HasLab lightsaber."
No, I'm good.
Here's the problem with the lightsaber. You can't. No, if you would have given them a Darth Vader helmet, like an actual, like, really cool $500 Darth Vader helmet, you probably would have gotten some people. But no one wants to. Very few people, maybe like 1,400 people. Am I about the right number? Want that lightsaber because it doesn't spin. If it spun, I'd consider it. It spins in the show. She holds it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It does not spin. It does not spin.
Yeah.
Throw it away. Throw it away.
No, thanks.
Start over. Take it back to R&D. Just start over.
Yep. But anyway, yeah, I would love to. I hope Andor does explore the early rebellion type stuff because that's going to be cool, and that's the next Star Wars thing we have going on. Chris says they are doing a helmet. Is it going to have a voice changer for James Earl Jones?
They're doing a helmet like they do a Power
Not the
Ranger.
Z one.
It doesn't count.
Yeah. He says
It's probably
it's
just
not
a Power
Hasbro.
Ranger helmet with a slightly new remolds on the top of it. I mean, let's be real.
Same voice changer as the
Lord
Z
Zed.
and Dragon.
Lord Zed helmet just changed its hair.
Did not need a voice changer.
Yeah, no, but so let's all, and everybody in the chat, we're gonna do you guys want to do? We're gonna do star rating. So do you want to do 5-star out of 5 stars or out of 10 stars for this show? What do you guys think?
5.
Okay, so out of 5, everybody throw it in the chat. How many stars out of 5 do you give it? I'm gonna say this was a 4 out of 5 for me.
I would agree with a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good.
You know what? While it has flaws, it definitely has flaws. I think it does a very good job of staying true to the source material and setting things up for the future without changing the future or changing the past. So I will be the guy, mostly because of the finale. I will give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay, yeah.
I will say that if you were to give me an example of a Disney Plus Star Wars series that I want to see going forward, give me more series like this, and I'm on board. Give me less Boba Fett's, give me more Obi-Wans. Even Mandalorian Season 2, the hell, long story.
4.4 out of 5. I'm rounding it for you.
That's how I say it. Give me more shows like this, and I'm all on board. Give me less Boba Fett shows, right? That was just a mess. But give me more stories and just, give Deborah Chow the ability to direct more stuff.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, and actually, I read about her in an interview. She had to fight to bring this story to light because originally they wanted just an Obi-Wan, and she had to fight to make this a Vader Obi-Wan show. So, yeah, give her more power because that was amazing.
Yeah, I've heard in the past that Vader's kind of like the untouchable. Like they don't want anyone doing anything with Vader at all.
Right. Yeah.
So I totally believe that she.
But now that Hayden Christensen's back, give us that Vader series.
Exactly. That's all he ever wants to do again in acting. So, give us that Vader series.
He doesn't have to act.
Yeah.
He's just voice actor at that point.
Yeah. So I think we're all kind of on the same page here. 4.5 stars. Do you think that this could have been better served as a movie, or do you like it as a series? It's a question.
I think if it was shorn down to a movie length, it wouldn't have been as impactful, especially for some of the newer characters.
I can tell that this was written as a movie originally, like it originally was. I can totally see the movie aspect of it. There's a beginning, a middle, like the climax that builds up to it, a twist, and then the end.
Yeah. Each of the 2 episodes was like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell that this was originally set as an idea as a movie, and they had to stretch things out, and that stretching came in the front half.
Yeah.
I can see that. But I agree with Eric. I feel that if they did this as a movie, it would have been okay. It would have been a fun movie. You probably would have made a ton of more money off of it. But I really feel like the result is a very good result doing it this way as opposed to a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree too. Like I was seeing some comments and stuff that was like, this could have been a movie, but I'm like, no, I don't believe this really would have been better served as a movie. Like, I mean, it's probably 5 hour runtime, roughly. you know, with all the episodes actual
Yeah,
runtime,
I
not
mean,
credits and stuff. So
you can easily take out a few different. I mean, you can easily cut the entire scene with the rebel, not the rebel. Sorry, the like you
Underground.
said, that underground railroad. You can totally take that entire scene out and just have them. Obi-Wan goes to save her from the bounty hunters who or whatever who then but she gets captured by Riva in the meantime. So you skip all that and you go straight to the little castle that she's at. He gets her out, and then you go immediately to Darth Vader's following him. You know, they have their battle on the planet. I mean, you can literally do that and you shorten into a 2-hour movie. But you lose all those key points like the
Yeah.
battle on episode 3. You lose all the charm of the little girl who played Leia.
Yeah.
And those are things I'm not willing to trade to sell tickets at a box office.
No, and I'll say this too, like this is the first Disney Plus series that I've watched it multiple times, like the episodes and stuff. Like the other ones I've been like, these are great, I loved it, but I've never been like had the like push to go back and rewatch WandaVision or, you know, some of the Marvel stuff they've done.
I still not watched a single Marvel.
No, or I haven't really wanted to go back and rewatch all the Mandalorian, or definitely not Boba Fett. But this series, like I watched all the episodes multiple times, except for the last one. But I will rewatch this again just because it was that.
You know why too, though, right?
Why?
Nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
I mean,
it's Ewan McGregor, it's Hayden Christensen. It's the characters that when you were a kid you got to see in movie theaters. Like, regardless of whether or not how big of a fan of Star Wars you're a fan of those characters playing those actors playing those characters, and that is one reason you'll go back. Because, I mean, let's face it. Like, how many people when you watch TV or if you have the TV on the background, like on like TNT or whatever, and Star Wars comes on, typically, unless I'm going to bed or the kids are going to bed, I don't change the channel.
Sure.
I'll let it play because I'm always like, oh man, like you can have Star Wars on in the background. Same with Indiana Jones, any of those old '80s movies. Throw them on in the background. They're background movies for doing everything else.
I'm Boba Fett. I have to bring that up.
Boba Fett.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like, this show did give me a lot more appreciation for A New Hope, though. Like, I did watch that right at, like, I've been watching it over the last couple of days, and I was like, okay, I like this show. I like this movie more now because Empire Strikes Back has always been my favorite Star Wars.
Same.
Any of them. But, like, this has given me more appreciation for the other two, even Return of the Jedi. Like, when Vader finally turns good again, you know, and figures out Luke and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's even though he wants to deny it, it's always going to be in him. Like, good that everybody questions about him.
More of that struggle because there's an internal struggle for it. You know there is because you saw it in this battle where he's, you didn't fail, or I'm not your failure.
Right.
Like, that's Anakin talking. That's not Darth Vader. That's Anakin. And then he switches back to Darth Vader real quick, so he's.
And then the quick Emperor scene, where Emperor even questions him after that. He's like,
lies to him.
Yeah, and he's just like, nope, I serve you, master. That's it. Like it's like, no, you can't just shut that off. If we've known anything about you through these movies,
where he's doing that in movie pro, which is in the background. Like, we determined that was a lie.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, Long's Toy says can't wait to watch and. What is it? Can't wait until I can watch Obi-Wan right into Andor, right into Rogue One, right into A New Hope. True.
Yeah, seriously, that little part of Disney Plus where it's like, watch the story in order.
Yeah.
It's getting longer and longer and longer.
I love it. I'm
long
story. Yeah, but unless you guys have anything else to say, I think this has been a good hour therapy discussion on this show. I like discussing these things, and everybody in the chat, thanks for pitching in too, because like I feel like you get more perspective from it when you discuss it with your friends and things like that, because like you guys brought up some stuff that I didn't kind of think about, in the show as watching it, but now that I look back, I'm like, oh, that's cool, or that I see your point.
It's one of those things too. Like my wife watched it, and she's got her opinions on it. We don't necessarily agree on what we liked and what we disliked. So it's nice to also get other people's inputs and be able to share stuff to find out, like, okay, I wasn't the only one who really, really nerded out over this.
Right.
Because I'm the nerd. and she's the mom. So that's the role.
Yeah, same. I have that relationship at home as well. She loves all this stuff. She loves to watch it with me, but I am the nerd. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, one more last comment. Fajita Phantom Vince says Obi-Wan does taxes coming soon to Disney Plus. I'd watch it. I'm just kidding.
Obi-Wan just sat there and like played in the sand, like drew sand pictures. You know, like I would watch that for 6 hours.
Long stories. Mason, you don't nearly have enough shit in your background. Well, that's true. I definitely, it's up more. I had to give a work presentation yesterday, so I took all my nerd stuff off the shelf. But anyway, so yeah, but I don't nearly have as much stuff as you guys. That's for sure. So. But anyway, so yeah, unless there's anything else you guys want to say, I appreciate you guys joining us, everybody Absolutely. In the chat, and I guess until next time, we will figure out when we're gonna stream something next. So
you'll hear from us again soon. We promise.
You can't just blur the background. I should use that Zoom feature. That's for sure. All right, guys. Well, until next time, we will see you, and I'm gonna play us out. Later.
Cool. Peace.
It's about to get effing cool.